This is the Night Wolf howling at you, and today we're going to take a look at the Masters of the Universe, Laser Power He-Man, Heroic Master of Light Energy, and he comes with Super Laser Light Action. Now, I didn't actually watch the reveal for this guy. I kind of skipped through the whole thing after the Mattel Creations podcast, whatever you want to call it, went through. So I actually don't know if this guy actually lights up or not. And I don't see anything that says anything about batteries included or batteries not included. So I'm sort of guessing it probably doesn't. But I'm really kind of hoping he does. Otherwise, we don't have the super laser light action. But since it was also relatively cheap, considering, he was just the standard deluxe pricing when you ordered him, that's also questionable. And on the box, of course, we see Strobos and He-Man fighting against Paraglow Skeletor, Laser Light Skeletor, whatever the hell they called Skeletor, I don't remember. But I think we can guess that this Skeletor will be one of the upcoming figures in the future. On the side of the box, we just see a couple little gremlin thingies. On the other side of the box, we see another little gremlin thingy. And on the back, we see He-Man jump swinging at Skeletor, and we see Skeletor holding his laser light Havoc staff. Although I do kind of like that, Mattel's got the empowering generations through play when we've got couple figures that are supposed to be powered up, huh? Anyway, let's open this up and find out if he actually does take batteries or not. Oh, look at that. On the side here, we are seeing something. So maybe he does, in fact, take batteries. And now which means I'll have to find out what kind of batteries he takes. Because, again, I didn't see anything on the outside of this package that said anything about that. Man, look how badly smashed this book is in here. God damn. So we have big loads of directions here, so obviously there's gotta be something. Press button to light up sword. Battery replacement, 3 of these little teeny tiny things. Okay, so there should be a battery in there? Okay, so the battery replacement must be inside the backpack. Tons of different languages, no actual instructions. You know what? Let's go ahead and turn off the lights. So he is not lighting up at all right now. We will open him up and take a look inside. So I know this isn't usually the way we do this stuff, but I gotta find out first off if this guy's working or not. Oh my god. This is seriously ridiculous. There we go. Now the sword lights up. You practically have to break the backpack in order to get it off. That's fucking stupid. On the plus side, technically speaking, we didn't actually need to, we don't need the lights out to actually see that the sword turns on. He's also back heavy. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the comic book. Balls. So the comic is Doom from Tomorrow, from the artist who gives us all the really blocky character depictions. There is no world more majestic than Eternia, no world more vibrant and pure, and in a universe fraught with envious eyes, there is no world more ripe for the taking. In the cold chambers of the moon-based Nordor, a villain from the future plots his dominion. At last I returned to where it all began. How did I not see it before? Planet Primus was primed to be sacked, yet my curiosity wouldn't dismiss one lingering question. Where did He-Man go? When Starship Eternia left our sector, it seemed too good to be true. We set course, followed the fleet's jump point, finding ourselves in the heart of a galactic battle. Connect this adventure with the mini-comic Future Tense. We hid in the cosmic shadows, waiting for the winds of war to cool. Now, with our technological superiority, the eternity of yore won't stand a chance. Let the siege begin! Rally the Wind Raiders! Nordor blots the sun as it makes its descent. Wait, He-Man, you will require advanced weaponry for this mission. By the power of Grayskull, I have the power! Zzz. Look alive! Evasive maneuvers! A squadron of Wind Raiders take to the skies in an all-out attack against Nordor. Kill them all! An aerial squadron approaches. Kill them all! A latrice of laser fire electrifies the skies as the Wind Raiders press their assault. Cutting Nordor's steel wall as if it were tinfoil, He-Man bursts forth. Look on the bright side. At least I don't have a ponytail. Oh, for fuck's sake. Why must you always plague me? Lighting arcs the air as He-Man deflects it with his energy blade. If any Skeletor shall rule Eternia, it will be me. It's time to send you back to the future. Meanwhile, at the heights of Snake Mountain, Skeletor, using the medallion of Serpo's heads, prepared a barrage of his own. Learn more about that reptilian relic in the mini-comic Leviathan's War. This already doesn't make any fucking sense. The Leviathan of Snake Mountain opens its jaws, unleashing venomous hellfire against Nordor. Retreat! Another volley of magnitude will destroy us. No room for stowaways. This is your stop. Gotcha. Before He-Man can return to action, Nordor leaps into hyperspace, fleeing the super weapon fired from Snake Mountain. Worry not, He-Man. The key to that hideous power from Snake Mountain has been expended. It will menace us no more. The same goes for Nordor. Ha! Despite being victorious, He-Man was annoyed. After all, it wasn't he who saved Eternia that day, but Skeletor. This is one of the worst f***ing mini-comics yet. For f***'s sake. On the plus side, I think it's safe to assume that this is not going to be duplicated when we get the Skeletor for this series. Or this set. But come on! Can we not write something better than this garbage? Like, I don't care that Skeletor was the one who saved the day. That's fine. In fact, I like that kind of irony, if I'm being honest with you. But the story is utter trash, in my opinion. It had a fine start to it, overall. Which also reminds me, I wonder if we're ever going to get any more of the New Adventures characters in this, in the Origins. Because I still really want this version of the Sorceress. I also want their version of Teela, too, to be honest with you. Although maybe they'll do cartoon collection versions of those, but that series wasn't very popular, so I'm not sure if we would actually get a subline for them. You know what I mean? Alright, so let's take a look at our Laserlight He-Man. He's got, I don't know, I guess some people would call this the Dolph Lundgren head, but it does look like a standard He-Man face with a new hairdo, basically. That's all it is. Which is fine. We already saw that the laser light will work, and it stays on when you press it, so you don't have to hold it, which is nice. Also, we can, drop it. We can stow it in the back here, like so. Although I'm going to be perfectly honest, I can easily see this thing breaking in the future, just at this point here. Like, I guess there's no real good way for them to have done this unless they'd had like some additional rubber around the handle and the top of here. Same down here as well, you know what I mean? Of course, I believe in the olden days, I've never had this one before, but I think this opened up for a couple of AA batteries. or AAA batteries. Oh, wait. Let's put the sword back in place. See, whenever I do that, that's when this thing pulls kind of tight. I don't like it. Maybe an extra like centimeter of cable here would alleviate some of my fear, but it doesn't have it, so it doesn't. All right, that being said, articulation-wise, on our He-Man here, head spins around on a ball joint, head up and down, side to side. Damn, there's some song that goes side by side that I was going to start singing. I can't remember what it is. You're lucky, aren't you? The arms can spin, and we can hinge. The soldier pauldron on this side does get in the way. Over here, it does not really. I mean, we can still get it all the way out here, but you can kind of see how this is bending. So you might want to avoid doing that too much. There is a single hinge in the elbow, which also allows for a spin. Again, this affects the shoulder armor here. Now, this is kind of interesting too, I guess, because this obviously was one single piece on the other He-Man as part of his arm to help hide the power thing back in the day. I'm trying to move that down a little bit. But of course, because this is Origins and we have actual articulation, it has to move. So they have to have that sit there in a way that it doesn't interfere with the movement, but it also kind of breaks up the look. So you can kind of have the arm turned to kind of like complete this line here. But it's really hard to actually move this so that it's also straight across. You know what I mean? So it looks awkward, but it's not bad. We can do a 360 spin at the waist. The backpack does not interfere. He is wearing a new diaper, and it says M on it, which I'm guessing is supposed to represent Masters of the Universe. Like his H here represents He-Man, or maybe this represents he and this man. Just going to point out, too, it is kind of like, looks like they did use a metallic paint on the belt. And kind of on the gloves. Like, the belt looks like it's shinier to me than the rest of the figure. He does have in and out hinge work on his hands as well. I didn't really go over that part earlier too much. So we do not have the hold the sword aloft hand this time, which seems to be a feature on all of the Cartoon Collection ones for the 2000X series. We can move the leg up that far, back that far, spread them like that far. Single joint in the knee. It does have a pin, although this one, it's interesting because I'm not getting the same spin that we usually get from that pin. So I don't know. I can't imagine they actually redid the joint works to stop that. Nope. This side moves just fine. This side, I guess, is just jammed up with the pin, but that's fine because the knee really shouldn't bend that way in the first place. So we can spin at the boot cut here. And we have a hinge at the foot. And then, of course, a pin that allows for another spin. So I believe there is a little bit of a timer on the laser sword because when I had it turned on a bit ago, it turned off automatically. So there is that feature as well. We'll probably see it pop off while we're talking right here. The figure himself looks really good, honestly, as far as mimicking the original vintage toy, as best to my knowledge, because I've never actually seen the real toy in person. I'm glad they kept the feature in there, and when you consider that they didn't charge an arm and a leg for this like they had, like, you remember when they first started doing some of those exclusive figures, they were like a lot more expensive than the standard figures, as I recall. You know, I think we were paying like $33 back before prices went up in order to get some of those first Mattel Creation exclusive figures. And now this one was just the regular price of a deluxe, as I recall. So I think he did turn out really good. I'm glad there are batteries already in there, so we don't have to worry about that, at least for a while. The only real issues I have with this figure, though, is how difficult it is to detach the backpack from him. You saw the problem I was having, and you can already see fatigue in the plastic where I was trying to pull the belt out so I could get it off. So generally my recommendation would be, of course, pull off one arm, pull off the head, and then undo the strap on the other side. Although I guess maybe if you pull off both arms, you might be able to, and the head, you might be able to pull off the whole backpack without ever actually detaching it from itself. myself. But I'll be honest with you guys, I am too lazy to test that out right now. You know, what's really interesting is from the perspective that I'm at, I can see the shadow moving for this guy since I darkened most everything. And of course, the camera automatically turns on the light, unfortunately. But you can't see the shadow at all from the perspective of the camera right now. It's kind of trippy. But if you enjoyed this review, please feel free to power up that like button. But why don't you guys tell me what you think about this figure thus far? And if you wanted to get him, or if you did order him. I'm sure he's another one of those figures, though, that'll be available later on still, because generally speaking, the Mattel Creations exclusives have not been selling out like they did when they first started doing them. Which is kind of surprising if this guy is still up for sale, which again, I'm sorry I didn't check. Maybe I'll leave a comment in my own review when I post this. But this is one of those figures that I would have expected to sell out because he was so rare back in the day. I'm also surprised he didn't come with two heads now that I think about it, because I believe he was released with a He-Man head and a Dolph Lundgren head. But as I was saying, I hope you enjoyed this review, and if you did, please feel free to power up that like button. And if you want to hear more of my nonsense in the future, you can subscribe. Maybe you want to slice at that like button. I thank you for watching. Peace and love.